Hey everybody, it's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R chat for Sunday, March 16th, 2014. I feel really good about Nick and Sharon. I'm really enjoying them reconnecting. It feels right. It feels real to me. And there was a time where I would not have said that. We had gotten to a point when we were in the drudges of the Nick, Phyllis, Sharon triangle back, what has it been, 5, even maybe 10 years ago now, where it was just becoming ridiculous. I was tired of the runaround. I felt like, ugh, fine, let Nick be with Phyllis. I was intrigued by the romance that had developed, the forbidden romance that had developed between Sharon and Adam, and I forgot about Nick and Sharon for a while, and I just put it in the back of my mind, and I didn't allow myself to really think about it, but now, seeing them come back together, I just really feel the passion between these two characters. There is history for them in their lives on the show. There's history for me as a viewer, and I just am totally enjoying it. I'm glad that we're here again. I think that Nick and Sharon are developing a bond that maybe is going to be unbreakable. I've been saying for weeks that as soon as Nick finds out about the paternity secret, he's never going to forgive Sharon, but maybe he will. I think there's a strong possibility that Nick is going to understand that Sharon has been sick, and I think he will allow her to be forgiven, possibly, for what she's done. Who Nick is not going to forgive is Victor. Victor has hired this Cassie lookalike to come in and essentially torment Sharon. Whether that's the intention or not, that is what in essence is happening, and that's not going to stay a secret for long. Everyone is going to find out that Victor hired this poor girl to do this to Sharon, and he's going to be culpable. No one's going to forgive him, and no one's going to be angry with the Cassie lookalike when this all shakes out. She reminds them so much of their long lost Cassie that everything will be forgiven with her. So at the end of the day, it's quite possible that Nick and Sharon are going to be drawn back together over Cassie coming back into their lives. Maybe there will at least be a friendship that will develop between Sharon and Cassie. Maybe there will be some other revealed connection, like Cassie had a twin. Apparently Sharon gave birth to twins and didn't know it. They were separated at birth. I don't know how it's possible if Y&R even intends to bring on Cassie as a full-time character, but I'm completely for it. I think it's a great idea, and I really think that Nick and Sharon are going to find their way back together at the end of the day. How long they can stay together, I don't know. But they're such a long-time classic soap couple, and I really am for it. I am starting to open myself up to the idea of the alternate Cassie. I've been calling her Bad Cassie for weeks now, but she showed signs of remorse this week over what she's been doing. In fact, the week opened up with Bad Cassie telling Victor that she's out of the game. She's done with this. She tosses Victor the keys to Sharon's house right onto his desk and says, I don't want to do this anymore. It's not for me. And I just want to mention that I am really loving the sparring that's going back and forth between Victor and Cassie. You can sense that there is a part of him that's unable to be entirely ruthless toward her because she looks so much like his granddaughter, reminds him of this sweet, wonderful little girl. He's not able to unleash the full power of the Victor Newman, and she has no connection to him or to any of these people in Genoa City whatsoever. So she is able to just snark back at him in a delicious way. I think I have enjoyed the connection or the banter back and forth between Victor and Cassie. I think she's a nice match for him. And just as she tries to throw in the towel on Project Get Sharon's Secret, Victor reveals that he has some kind of information on her. Of course, he's not just going to let her do her job and leave him high and dry whenever she chooses. He's got dirt on her. Apparently, something happened in Portland that she's been running from for who knows how long. I don't know if it was some kind of, it has to be some kind of legal incident, because Victor threatened her by saying, if you step away from this project, I'm going to call the authorities and they're going to descend upon you and take you away in like 5 seconds. And likewise, if I could do that, I could also make those charges go away for you. So whatever it is, she got herself into some trouble with the law, I presume. I don't know what it is. I'm so curious. I think there's a whole huge story around the character, this other Cassie, that has so much potential. It could be so compelling. But whatever it is, Victor could make it go away, and they could easily just usher her right onto the landscape as a full-time character, and I would be for it. But of course, no one can resist Victor Newman. He's got this info on her, so she decides to continue to play along. She takes the keys back, and she realizes her mission is to get Sharon to confess whatever it is. We all know it's the paternity secret, but whatever it is that is weighing on her mind so heavily. And I think that Cassie at this point wants to use whatever means possible to get the job done so that she can get out and move on. Now, while all that is going on between Victor and Cassie, Nick and Sharon are making out in the living room, and things get really heated, and they begin to carry it upstairs, and they're kissing and embracing and looking at each other, and both of them, both Nick and Sharon, just looked so wanton, just with intense desire, staring at each other. I mean, the look on Sharon's face as they're standing in her bedroom just before doing the deed, she has this look of just pure lust in her eyes, but also I think it's a desire for the past. It's a desire to be needed and wanted and held onto and secured. There's just so much there. I think mostly in her face she was just saying, "Give it to me, Nick! Give it to me, God, it's been too long!" I just think they have so much chemistry. Since day one, these two characters have had so much chemistry, and it's been a good long while since we've seen them make love, and I am totally along for the ride. Literally. It was good for me. Was it good for you? That's the question of the week. So leave me a comment and let me know what you guys are feeling about that. What's Nick and Sharon? Were you feeling it? Obviously, I was. The sex in and of itself, the sex scene in and of itself was wonderful. It was everything I needed it to be. It was hot. It was intimate. I mean, there was a mix of love and lust. What I appreciated most about the whole thing was the fact that Nick and Sharon had this moment right before they tossed onto the bed where Sharon just looks at him and says, "Are you sure?" She wants to confirm that this is what Nick wants. And in return, I mean, of course, he's like, "Well, yeah, of course, it's what I want." He's always been driven by passion. Nick, I love him. I think he's so adorable, but the man, he thinks with his other head. We'll just leave it at that. That's always been how he is. He is someone who is driven by passion in much the same way Sharon is too. I mean, Sharon can certainly be accused of thinking with her crotch, but he asks her in return, like, you know, "Are you okay with this?" And Sharon's like, "Yes, I'm so much." I mean, it seemed like it was really Sharon who was ready to bubble up over I mean, they both wanted it, of course, but I liked that they took the moment to check in with each other and make sure that it was okay. Make sure that they weren't going to be making a mistake, that they weren't going to be doing something that in a half hour I gotta give him more credit than that. And in an hour would seem like a bad idea. I think that they took the whole thing nice and slow, not only just in the moment before, but throughout the lovemaking scene. I think that it was nice, it was slow, it showed me that it was not just a flash in the pan. And a lot of the lovemaking scenes that we've seen are very quick, but this one had desire and intent. We know what we're doing. We're going into this with eyes wide open. And they even talked about it afterwards. There was a scene where they're lying in bed afterwards talking about it. And Nick says, you know, I have wanted this for a long time. I've been trying to convince myself that it's not a good idea, but in this moment, it just felt totally right. Now, Sharon, I think at every moment along the way, Sharon wants so badly to tell Nick the truth. I think she's still very unsure about herself. She wants to be honest with him, but she knows she's carrying this lie. She knows that she's continuing to see Cassie's ghost, or what she thinks it is. She thinks she's still very, very sick, and I think she doesn't want to hurt Nick. I think she genuinely doesn't want to hurt him. But so she kind of stops herself from saying all of the things that are actually on her mind. She goes downstairs instead to get them a snack. Nick tells her to go pick up some whipped cream and honey. Bring it back up to the bedroom, honey. But as soon as she walks downstairs, she sees Cassie in the living room rifling through papers. She's trying to find out what this secret is, and it becomes an argument. Cassie's trying to convince Sharon to just tell her the secret, tell her what it is, but Sharon's so confused because there's a transition has happened between Sharon actually imagining Cassie, and now there is an outside force, an actual physical Cassie that is malicious and has different intent, and Sharon's confused. I already told you the secret. Why do you need me to tell it to you again? And Sharon does end up letting slip that Phyllis is the only other one that knows the secret, and still that's not really helping Cassie to get the information that she wants so she can get in and get out. And it just culminates in this, very intense scene. They're yelling back and forth at each other, which is odd, knowing the relationship they've had before has always been so loving. But Nick ends up hearing them arguing from upstairs. I think he only heard Sharon's side of the conversation. Gary had called into my voicemail and made a good point of, well, if Nick heard the whole argument, then he would have heard two voices downstairs. I kind of think maybe he only heard Sharon's side of it for some reason or another. Maybe that's just something we shouldn't overanalyze. But Nick comes downstairs just as Sharon is kind of grabbing on to Cassie and realizing again that she's not a phantasm, a specter. She's actually physically there. This is a difference in the hallucination in her mind. Now I can feel you. She's grabbing her. She's real. So either I'm getting sicker or this is something more going on here. And Cassie, of course, makes a run for the door. She accidentally knocks Sharon down onto the floor in the process. Cassie gets away just before Nick comes downstairs and finds Sharon just collapsed on the floor. She's not, like, as far as he knows, she's just had a conversation with herself or an argument with herself. Now she's collapsed down on the floor. She wakes back up and begins insisting that she saw Cassie. Cassie was here. Poor Nick. I think Nick's had to have been thinking in that moment, great, I just slept with a crazy woman. Maybe I shouldn't have boned down on Sharon at this particular point in her life because she's obviously still dealing with mental issues. Sharon, I think she really is thinking that either she is a new level of sick or something more is going on there. We had a nice scene this week where Sharon's original doctor comes back. Wasn't that a nice surprise? Because I can't remember what her name is. I'm so mad at myself for that. I'm just gonna call her Dr. Sassy because she's just sassy. She Like that woman, that actress feels classic soap to me. Like I get a Sally Spectre vibe out of her or something. Like she could just come in and rule the roost. I wish we could get her back on full time, but it was nice to see her once. So this doctor is sitting in the coffee house having a conversation with someone else, I don't know, presumably another doctor, and she's discussing Sharon's case. Not saying that it's Sharon, but clearly that's who she's talking about. Victor is in the background. He's never at the coffee house except for when it's convenient. Like he's not a hang out at Crimson Lights kind of guy, and for some reason he's there now. But he overhears the doctor talking about her patient and realizes that it is Sharon, and the information that he takes away from it was that Sharon had some kind of secret that she was never able to reveal. And Victor hones in on that. The doctor also said something about how Sharon confessed that she had done something to manipulate a situation, but wouldn't reveal exactly what it was. Now, Victor wants to know what that is more than anything. Cassie comes back to his office a little later and tells him that she had this other encounter with Sharon and that Phyllis's name had slipped out, that Sharon mentioned that Phyllis was someone who knew her secret, which of course later in the week prompts Victor to call the hospital to try to see if there's any chance maybe Phyllis might be coming out of that coma anytime soon so that he can get the goods. I mean, as soon as Victor finds out what the secret is, he's going to be so happy because he hates sharing summer with Jack. I think he's going to be elated to find out that that's really the secret. It's just another way he's going to be able to one-up Jack. But for now, we have now another confrontation between Cassie and Victor. She comes to his office to tell him what she knows, and she starts to have an attack of conscience. This last argument that they've had together, Sharon and Cassie, was intense and it was physical. And I think Cassie realized, I don't know what else to call her, so I'm gonna call her Cassie. I don't think they've ever revealed what her actual name is, but that confrontation was so harmful to Sharon's psyche. I think Cassie realized that she's really, really hurting this woman by continuing to do this. She needs to give Victor the information. She's between a rock and a hard place, or he's going to, blow up whatever it is that she did in Portland. But not only that, it is kind of nice to have the money. I think Cassie certainly has her reasons for doing what she's doing, but it really gave her pause. She tells Victor, I wish that you would be nice to her when this is all over. I kind of like her. She clearly loved her daughter and she seems like a good person. Why do you hate her so much? I thought that was a really nice moment. Cassie just flat out asked him, what did she do to you? Why do you hate her so much? And Victor, without missing a beat, said, I don't hate her. I despise her. Ooh, that was a good moment. That was a really classic moment. I mean, why, Victor? Why do you despise Sharon? Because at the end of the day, I think it's more about the fact that she bruised your ego. Victor and Sharon were always close until the marriage, and she didn't love him, didn't want him, and he didn't love her in that way either. But she was the one that was, I think, kind of rejecting on him, and he was always off on Nikki and all that. I mean, there was a million reasons why that marriage didn't work out. But Victor, I don't know. I kind of blame him for it. And I think at the end of the day, he hates Sharon because she bruised his ego. I mean, yes, she burnt down the ranch and that's not a small deal. But what's a house? He could always build another house, right? He did. I don't know. There's something about more there. But I thought that was a very intense moment. He reveals he despises her. But this poor Cassie, she doesn't know any of these people. She's not invested in this world. So she says, all right, I'm gonna get the secret, whatever it is. I will figure it out. But I want you to be nice to Sharon when all of this is done. And she kind of, in a granddaughter-grandfather sort of way, with a naivete behind her eyes, says to him, I want you to be nice to her when all this is done. And she has no idea who she's dealing with. I mean, Do a Google search. The title of his biography is Ruthless. Like, I mean, girl, you do not know who you're dealing with. I don't think the word nice is even in Victor Newman's vocabulary. So, gosh, you know, she's in over her head. And again, at the end of the day, she's going to be forgiven for everything that she's doing to Sharon. Victor is the master manipulator here. So, after this incident, Sharon goes back to the doctor. It's her new doctor, the doctor of her choice, and she just wants some new meds or something. She just wants this to go away. Things are finally in a place for her and Nick where it's good again, and that makes her feel good again and secure again. So she just wants the doctor to give some prescriptions. The doctor suggested, this is weird, essentially giving her electroshock therapy? Is that sort of extreme, Doc? Do they even still do that? And are we gonna see that? Like, after all, like, are we gonna get to a point where Sharon's quote-unquote hallucinations become so strong that they're gonna, like, try to give her electroshock therapy, and maybe Cassie will bust in and be like, no, don't do that to her. I like her. She's nice. I'm being paid by Victor. I don't know, but it was such a heavy thing to bring up. Electroshock therapy? How about maybe we work on some cognitive behavioral therapy or something instead? Maybe just convince Sharon to tell Nick the truth. That might be a better solution. That's essentially what happened. The doctor tells Sharon, you know, you need to confront the truth. You need to say it. You need to confront the demon. And Sharon agrees. She says, you know what? Yes, I'm going to tell Nick today. But first, she goes to Cassie's gravesite, where, of course, the actual Cassie or the live Cassie, bad Cassie, whatever is, and they have another intense altercation. It gets really, really rough because Cassie is, I think at this point, being rough with Sharon intentionally, saying, you know, tell me, you know, you're crazy. Look at the way you're acting. You're out of your mind. Just tell me what the secret is. I think Cassie was being particularly rough on Sharon, just wanted to get the information so that she could put a stop to it. I think Cassie was willing to say or do anything she possibly could to get Sharon to confess so that she could stop torturing this poor woman. But Sharon is so confused at this point. She doesn't know what to say, doesn't know what to do. She ends up grabbing her yet again and says out loud, this is not just in my mind. It's like you're real. I can feel you. And Cassie just breaks away from her and says, let me go, you crazy bitch. I am real. And she runs off behind the bushes, leaving Sharon just with this shocked look on her face. Nick has been looking for her, realizes she is probably at their daughter's gravesite. So he comes in just after this has happened. Oh my gosh, Sharon is stunned. What? Let me go, you crazy bitch. I am real. I just want to say that a million times. That was such a good line. Sharon just starts looking at Nick like, oh my gosh. She starts talking about how, oh, Nick, I had to tell you, our daughter is alive. I understand now. Someone else is buried in her grave. We had a guest star on YNR this week, and I have no idea who he was. Apparently, Michael Robinson. I mean, I don't know, do soap watchers and football watchers cross over very often? I'm assuming he was a football player, mostly because the guy shows up at Victor's office, and Victor starts making these oh-so-subtle football references, like, I'm glad to have somebody on the team who understands teamwork, and, you know, let's set up a lunch meeting. We'll huddle up tomorrow. I'm just gonna assume he was a football player. He looked like he could be a football player, but it was just kind of funny, like just the puns. It was very punny. Oh, well. So, more importantly, Chelsea gets a call from Victor. He has tracked down a homeless man who was an eyewitness to the whole crash site. This is the guy who saw Adam walk away from the crash, which is legitimate. I mean, we as viewers all saw that happen. We saw Adam get out of the car. We saw the bloody hand. We're now seeing him in a hospital somewhere. So we know this to be true. Unfortunately, the whole story of the homeless guy didn't pan out. I mean, I had to laugh. Victor's there in his very high profile corporate office, and they bring in this poor, wide-eyed homeless guy. Victor's sitting in his power desk where there's usually other high-powered business guys across from him in this desk, and now here it's a homeless man, and Chelsea's over his shoulder barking like she just wants to believe that her husband's alive so badly that she doesn't really want to listen. She just latches on to any little thing he says and takes it for truth. There was just something about that clash of worlds that got to me. Like, Victor's telling this homeless guy, oh, we'll pay you cash, okay? Well, yeah. Where's he gonna get what are you gonna do? Write him a check for crying out loud, Victor? Jeez, it was weird. I mean, the homeless guy, he at first sounds legit. You know, he's talking about how he saw the guy get out of the crash, or he saw that the guy's clothes were on fire, that he got out of the car, and that he was able to crawl out before the explosion, he started going on about basically how Adam said he was going home. Like, Chelsea says, oh, you saw him get out of the car. What did he say? And the homeless guy indicated that Adam said he was going home. So this immediately spins Chelsea's head in a million different directions. He didn't come home. But what if he went to Kansas? Victor reveals, no, I checked the place at Kansas. And then they start questioning the homeless guy more. And he says, oh, no, like, he didn't physically say that to me. Basically, it was mind to mind. Like, I heard him saying it. You know, he didn't have to say it. He said it in his mind, which may very well have been true. I mean, they were ready to write him off right there. Victor was like, okay, well, forget it. Chelsea's hopes are totally dashed. But, I mean, we see, like, there was a homeless guy that reported the whole crash. So he obviously was there. He did witness it. So who knows? Maybe he did have some kind of mystical connection with Adam in that moment. I don't know. I'm still willing to believe. Mostly because I already know Adam's still alive. And Y&R is clearly headed in that direction. It just sort of makes me wonder if Y&R was planning that recast all along. I don't know. I mean, they didn't miss a beat. Like, the whole Michael Mooney thing went down, a little over a month ago, and they started laying the groundwork for Adam still being alive almost immediately. I mean, maybe 1 week went by where the viewers were led to believe maybe he was dead, and then they picked it right back up and made sure we knew, oh no, we're not killing the character of Adam. So, I don't know. I think that they always planned on not killing him. I just wonder if they always planned on recasting him too, because you know, there's a lot of people talking about who's going to take over the role, who's it going to be. I don't know. I have no clue whatsoever. I don't know who the players are, but I just wonder if, knowing that Michael Mooney was not as popular behind the scenes as he was on screen, I'm kind of wondering if maybe they had a short list of people they've been considering all along. So I don't know if they're going to announce it real quick. I mean, who knows? It could be a surprise for us. I keep expecting Adam to just pop up on screen. I mean, this week they show this shadowy figure moving around Chelsea's apartment while she's not home, looking at a suit that was in a dry cleaning bag with Adam's name on it. And I thought, oh my gosh, so Adam came home to get his suit or what? Chelsea comes home and she hears somebody upstairs. I thought, is Adam? Is it Adam? Is he just gonna walk down? There's a part of me that just expects Michael Mooney to walk down the stairs. I know that's not possible, but Chelsea had that same thought. Like, is it Adam? And all of a sudden, the figure begins to walk downstairs in the suit, and it's Jeff wearing Adam's suit. They are kind of the same body type, right? I mean, they're both tall and skinny. I was tricked almost there. But knowing that it was Jeff, I I almost can't believe how incredibly crass that it turned out to be, because Chelsea's like, what are you doing? A, what are you doing in my house? B, what are you doing in my dead husband's suit? Jeff let himself, okay, let me make sure I got this correct. Jeff let himself into Chelsea's apartment and just started going through Adam's things, looking for a suit to try on, looking for cufflinks to put on with it. Who does that? Who goes through a dead man's things looking for goodies? And Chelsea is immediately disgusted with him. How could you do that? Who do you think that you are? And why would you do that to me? You've never done anything for me ever, and now here you are doing this. And Jeff, I like the character of Jeff because he's interesting, but he's also like, I would hate him in real life. He gives her this song and dance and a puppy dog face saying, oh, I was wrong. I'm sorry. You know, I was a bad boy. Forgive me. Will you forgive me, Chelsea? I'm your daddy. Daddy loves you. It's only because nobody ever believed in me that I now believe in you. I mean, he just spun it. He spun it right around like, oh, no, I'm a good guy. Everything's fine. I just can't, I don't know. I can't believe that he would do that. It was just so bad, so bad. I mean, for crying out loud, I was hoping it was going to be Adam and it was Jeff. Chloe is ready to accept her fate. I honestly think she's on the mend because she is taking 100% responsibility for her actions. She's not trying to pretend that she didn't try to steal a baby and take the baby to Paris and was planning on never looking back. She's being very honest about what she did, and she's ready to accept a plea deal from Chris that includes doing time at Fairview. I love, by the way, that Genoa City has a local mental hospital that we all know. Oh, it's Fairview, the loony bin. We all know about Fairview. And maybe that would have been a good thing for her, but Kevin is really arguing against this. It's Kevin and Chloe and Michael as her attorney, and Michael knowing that Chloe has problems and that she needs help. And Michael is taking a very pragmatic view of the situation, but Kevin is totally emotional. He loves Chloe. He understands what she's been through, and he doesn't want her to go through anything that's going to be more harmful to her in the end. And he's arguing against her taking a plea deal and going away to a mental institution. He's like, why should Chloe be convicted of a crime? And he did make a point, a good point, saying, Billy took Adam hostage and no one's charging him with anything. What did Chloe do that was so much different? Well, it is different. I'm sorry, it is different. She did do something wrong and bad, and I don't think she needs jail time, but I think she needs help. I really do. I mean, I have to admire Kevin's tenacity. Kevin is sticking by her. He is her advocate 100%, even as she's pushed him away. Because all along the line, she's saying, no, just let me go. Just let me go. I just need I'm fine being punished. And he is there for her every single time she tries to push him away. I don't think anyone has ever been better to Chloe than Kevin. I don't think anyone has ever been a better friend to Chloe than Kevin has been. That includes Chelsea. That probably includes everybody she's ever known in her life. Kevin is there for her. But she seems to be ready to take responsibility. She ended up accepting a guilty plea. She pled guilty to the crime and got outpatient treatment, which I think, I don't know, maybe that's fine. I just want her to get help. They decide to release her into the custody of a relative, which naturally means Esther, but Chloe is not really excited about the idea of being at the house with Jill and Colin and Esther. That's not exactly the healing environment that she needs. And so Kevin decides to become a relative. He just says, you know what? I'll be a relative. He gets down on one knee and proposes to her right there in, I guess it was the police station. Wow. Here we are again. It's sad. It's sad on every single level. I feel sad for Chloe and everything that she's been through. I really want her to get help. I feel sad for Kevin because I think he's selling himself short. I hate to say this, but I think Kevin loves Chloe more than Chloe loves Kevin. I'm not saying she doesn't appreciate him, but I don't think it's the same kind of love. Chloe said yes to his proposal, but I just don't think she feels the same way about him. Do you? I don't know. They go ahead with this quickie wedding right there again. I guess it was in the police station. Michael is standing there being skeptical, and so am I. I feel totally skeptical too. And they had a kind of surprise wedding party at the athletic club afterwards. I mean, here, this is Chloe's first day being released from custody. She's embarrassed, and she walks into the athletic club, and Lauren and Gloria, I guess, have thrown them like a surprise wedding reception or whatever, like, yay, they got married. Let's try to pretend like this is totally normal and a happy situation, and like it didn't have to do anything with getting Chloe out of legal trouble. I mean, Esther talks to her daughter at this party and says to her, why didn't you tell me? I could have been there for your wedding. And Chloe flat out refers to it like it's not really a wedding, it's a legal agreement. That's what she called it, a legal agreement. I think it says everything right there. And I feel like everybody knows that. Gloria and Lauren are off in the corner. And I think Lauren knows it's a little sketchy, but Gloria is very vocal about it. Like, yeah, who would have ever thought Kevin would be the stable one in a relationship? Like, Chloe's out of it. And I think Gloria was almost like the devil's advocate for the audience. Like, Gloria may have been having a voice for some audience members that were like, what? They just let her off? I mean, Gloria let Chloe have it. She said, I'm sorry, I love you, but you're kind of crazy. Which I did appreciate. I think all sides have kind of been presented there. Maybe it's not the best for Chloe. I mean, my concern is that Kevin is just going to whisk her away and huddle her up in the house for who knows how long, which is probably just going to make her more depressed. I just wonder if I think she needs some active help, some active therapy. It just... I don't know if outpatient is going to do it. I don't know. She needs to focus on herself and get better. This is going to lead to huge depression for her, especially since at the end of Friday's show, they're at the Fisher clan is there at the athletic club doing this faux wedding party thing, and Chelsea walks in with the baby, and there's now this just horrible awkwardness in the air. I can feel Chloe's shame, and I saw from the previews of next week's show, apparently there is a little bit of a confrontation, and Chelsea reveals, like, I had to get a restraining order against you to protect my son, and I don't blame Chelsea for that. Her number one concern has to be protecting her son. Chloe took her child away from her. I don't see how their relationship can ever get back on track. I don't think Chloe and Kevin will ever be in love and a happy couple. And I think that it's I think it's true, and I think it's the writing's on the wall, especially since I got some news for you guys, some casting news. Elizabeth Hendrickson as Chloe is out. She revealed this week that she is filming her last scenes, I guess. So say goodbye to Chloe. I mean, it's been a mass exodus on the show lately. It's hard. It's hard to deal with. I mean, first it was Phyllis, followed by Billy Miller, followed by Adam, and now Chloe. Oh, what's going on, Y&R? Why can't you keep your actors? Why would she even, I don't know, why would she need to leave? I don't know. I liked her. I think she's good, and I'm sad. I mean, ugh. Another one bites the dust. Victoria confronts her husband about the voicemail from Kelly, confessing and that they saw each other again. This is something that he did not tell his wife. Oh no, he met with Kelly all on his own. I mean, he doesn't deny it when Victoria confronts him about it. He tells her the truth, but the truth hurts. It hurts Victoria. And Billy does tell Victoria, I just, in one way or another, I just don't feel like I can blow her off. He feels connected to her for one reason or another, or he just would have stopped. He would have stopped seeing her Instead, he gives her the time of day. He gives her a little bit of space, just a little bit. He doesn't want to be mean to her, but he's only doing more damage to his marriage. I swear, he has said to Kelly, we can't talk anymore, we got to stop doing this like 100 times, and it never takes. So Victoria kicks him out. She says that she needs space. I don't know if space ever helped anyone get back together. It kind of seems like the first step to breaking up, and I don't know that that's what's going to happen, but it really is not looking good for Billy and Victoria. I tell ya, I think she's manipulative. I do think she is manipulative. She's developed this friendship with Lily, which I'm kind of enjoying. And again, let me say, just because she's manipulative doesn't mean I don't like her character or that I may not like her or want to be friends with her, but I also like her character. I think that she's added something really spectacular to the mix. I kind of am enjoying the fact that Kelly and Lily are having this friendship, that Lily is allowing, I think, us as the viewer to give her a second chance, helping us get that insight into her character, that maybe she is, like she said last week, a good person who made a bad mistake. But I just think she is manipulative. I think she's got some stuff that she wants, and I think that she's doing a good job at getting it. She's starting to talk to Lily about how she wants to find herself. She's thinking about getting into teaching again. Lily's right away willing to make a phone call to help to get her a job as a teacher's assistant. You know what it is? Kelly's probably going to end up as a substitute teacher or something at Johnny's school, which is going to rub more and more salt into Victoria and Billy's open wound. I mean, you gotta hand it to Kelly. I feel like she knows how to get to know the right people in town. First Billy, then Lily, then Jack. She's all up in their lives. Jack, I think he's realizing that he may need to move on from Phyllis, whether he wants to or not. And I was sort of getting the impression that maybe Jack was coming to the conclusion that seeing Kelly could be a good start for that. Like maybe kill two birds with one stone, get over Phyllis and maybe move on with Kelly and keep her away from his brother. But he calls her for a lunch appointment, a lunch date or whatever, which I thought was a date, and it took a bad turn. I mean, he's talking to her about her dead son and how's she doing and how you getting through, and you know, where are you, what are your plans, where are you headed. She's indicating that she wants to be a teacher, she wants to stay in town, she really likes Genoa City, and Jack is kind of clearly giving the impression that he wants her to get out of town, like saying, oh, you know, why don't you try Washington, D.C.? That sounds like it'd be a good place for you, or this or that. And before you know it, our smiling, sweet, sentimental Jack hands her a pre-written check for a plane ticket. What? What, Jack? I tell you what, she was incredibly offended, and so was I. He lured her there, like talking about her son and under the guise of really caring about her, and then he brings down the other hammer. She was like, this is disgusting. She rips up the check and just hands him his ass. Gosh, you know, it was shocking to me. I felt betrayed too. Like, Jack cutting that check was such a Victor Newman move. And it was all done under the guise of compassion. Oh, I care about you. No. He wanted to get her out of town to save his brother's marriage. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Jackie could have let that play out on its own. I mean, I understand his heart was in the right place. He wants to help his brother. He loves them both. He has no loyalty to Kelly or reason to have loyalty to her, but he could have just been more cold about it. Instead, he got her feeling all good about herself, and then he brought down the hammer. Kelly runs out of the athletic club, ends up running into Billy in the hall, which for all the times Billy's like, we can't talk to each other, he's like, hey, Kelly. You know, he's ready to acknowledge her. He sees that she's upset, sees Jack kind of following after her, and says, what did you do to Kelly? And Jack says, what you should have done a long time ago. Damn! Was it Jack or was it Victor, because I'm telling you, I was seeing some Victor Newman in his eyes right there. I understand he's trying to help his brother because that marriage is rocky, but he did not have to do that the way he did. He did not have to pretend to be her friend, or maybe that was his angle all along. Again, I'm not happy with Jack about doing that at all. The marriage is probably going to fall apart anyway. Victoria calls Avery to get her started on divorce proceedings. Avery comes over talking to Victoria, like, trying to convince her to wait, but I think Victoria wants to file for divorce before Billy can change her mind. She knows that if she tells him this is what she's considering, he's going to talk her out of it. She has a weakness for her husband, of course, and I think she just wants to have a knee-jerk reaction and get the divorce. Avery, I think, successfully convinced her to hold off on it for a while. You know, I liked the scene between Victoria and Avery. I liked that Avery was, revealing a little bit more about herself, her relationship with Dylan. But I tell ya, I felt like Avery was overstepping. Okay, Avery was speaking about Victoria and Billy's relationship as if she knew them intimately, and she doesn't. She was going on about how they have such a deep, abiding love, but Avery doesn't really know Victoria and Billy that well. So I don't know. I think, again, people are maybe just trying to save the marriage without really understanding all of the things that have come into play. I like Billy and Victoria. I don't want to make it seem like I want them to break up, but at the same time, sometimes it's time to break up. I don't know if they can recover, and I wouldn't blame Victoria for divorcing him. I wouldn't have blamed Victoria for divorcing Billy several screw-ups ago. So, I don't know. Billy goes to the gym, and while Victoria is having this conversation with Avery, it was paralleled with Billy's conversation with Dylan, and I think they're, Avery and Dylan are trying to just be the mediators there, or maybe help save a marriage. Who knows, maybe because they destroyed Avery's marriage or something, twice. I don't know, but of course, Stitch comes in, overhears that Victoria kicked him out, and they start arguing and fighting, and it wasn't a punch or anything, but it was very heated. Stitch goes right to Victoria. He leaves the gym, goes right to Victoria. He could have easily gone home. He could have let that go, but he didn't. He heard that Billy got kicked out of the house. He went right to Victoria's house. I think he's got an agenda too. Victoria was very hesitant. She doesn't want to give any idea of impropriety, and she knows that maybe pursuing the relationship with Stitch is not a good idea. Even a friendship with Stitch is not a good idea. It would make her guilty of the very thing that she's mad at Billy for doing, but she lets him in. She's weakened. She's in a weakened state. She lets him in, and they're just going to get closer and closer. I think that Stitch and Victoria's relationship is developing more than either one of them would care to admit. Billy and Kelly, same thing. I tell you, I was very interested and happy to see Kelly find out that Stitch kissed Victoria this week. Kelly and Billy run into each other again at the coffee house and again say they have to stay away from each other. But essentially, Kelly tells Billy everything that Jack did. Billy tells Kelly that he got kicked out of the house and that Stitch kissed his wife, and Kelly could not wait. She gets right up in Stitch's face and says, I love the way her body language too. I like this actress so much. She gets right up on him, is like, oh really, you're real quick to chastise me for sleeping with Billy, and you're trying to break up their marriage too? But the interesting thing was that she said, something to the effect of, Victoria should know that she's getting involved with a murderer. So, did Stitch kill her son? Is that it? I mean, maybe we've been searching for some bigger connection. I don't know. Maybe it's just that Stitch was the one that killed her son. I don't even remember at this point the circumstances under which Sam died. Was it a hit and run also? I feel like it was a very similar situation to Delia's. But is that it? Is it just that Stitch hit and ran on the child or accidentally hit? I don't know. I have no idea. But apparently Stitch is a murderer. That's the big reveal of this week. I don't know if that would, I don't know, maybe it's something bigger, or maybe it's something worse. I'm not sure. I don't know. Billy and Victoria are definitely drifting. Billy has Kelly. I think she's pregnant. I still think she's pregnant. I think that she's going to do everything she can to stay in his life. Victoria, whether she has Stitch or not, probably doesn't even matter, because the second Billy is out of her life, Victoria is right back on the Victor bandwagon, right back letting Victor in her life. Victor comes by, and he's so... you know, he knows that Victoria and Billy are having problems, and he's so supportive. And, you know, he doesn't tell her to leave him. Oh, no. Victor already knows that she is considering leaving Billy, and he knows if he pushes her, then it's not going to happen. That's the only reason he's being as level-headed as he is, because Billy comes in, realizes that Victor's there, and says, oh, so what? Are you telling my wife to leave me? And Victoria said, no, he's being more fair than you would realize, than you would expect. Well, it's because he knows how to work you. Victor's trying to work you. He wants you to leave Billy, and he's manipulating you. Victoria, are you blind? And are you also suffering from memory loss? Do you remember, like 2 weeks ago, when you vowed that you would never let Victor back in your life again? Now he's sitting in your living room giving you relationship advice, offering you a job? For one reason or another, I am just really feeling the Neil and Leslie storyline. They had a very awkward post-breakup first meeting at the coffee house this week, and it was sad. Leslie clearly wants to be friends, and Neil's not ready for that, and I don't blame him. I don't blame either one of these people. I guess that's the problem. I don't think anyone's to blame. It's just a sad circumstance that just is. You know, she says, really, we can't even be friends? And Neil says, no, that's not really what that's not what I want from you. I mean, it's not too late to change your mind. I want to marry you. And she just doesn't. So he kisses her and walks away, and this whole storyline has made me feel more connected to Leslie than ever. I like that she's not going to compromise what she wants, and neither is Neil. I mean, it's the same thing for him. He wants to be married for one reason or another. I mean, because his other marriages have worked out so well, but he's just not willing to accept just friends, or even, you know, just a partnership, a committed partnership. So here Leslie and Neil are going back to being strangers. That's what Leslie said. You know, she was telling Avery that the wedding and everything was totally off. She said, you know, we're just strangers now. That's all we are. We're back to being alone. It made me really sad, but then I laughed because I got a voicemail from Gary. And it's like, you know, we've been with Neil so long, it's so easy to know all of his faults, but I did laugh because Gary said, well, maybe Leslie's lucky to not be married to him. Okay, you guys, I think that's it for me for this week. I know there were a couple other storylines. Nothing major happened with Dylan and Nikki this week that I really wanted to like delve into, but I will say I am seeing a lot of comments and people mentioning what they think about this Ian secret, what it is he could be hiding, and several people have theorized that Ian maybe knows that he's not Dylan's father, and that maybe Paul is actually Dylan's father, because it seemed that Ian was taunting both Dylan and Paul with that piece of information. So since so many people have said it, it does definitely make me wonder if we're going to see Paul and Dylan realizing that they're actually father and son, and now Nikki and Paul have a child together, and we're all, well, not a child, but adult child, but we saw this week a little bit of tension between Nikki's relationship with Paul and Christine's relationship with Paul. Nikki decides to bring Paul a salad for lunch and kind of undercuts what Chris was planning for her husband. So I think that's a very good possibility. We might be seeing Nikki and Paul realizing they're Dylan's parents, leaving Victor and Christine somewhat on the outside looking in of that relationship. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, well, shoot. I love you guys. I hope that you enjoyed this week's show, and feel free to leave me a comment. I love hearing from you, so let her rip. Let me know what you're thinking about the show. Okay, I love you guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye!